Hello, Jakob Anker Nielsen here. I'm attending the CTA course, and this week I would like to chat with you about architectural standards. That is the core topic of this week here. At this stage, we are trying to understand how we can achieve a common language when it comes to speaking ServiceNow implementations and making sure that our way of speaking is aligned to that of the enterprise architect that may be a part of the organization within the client or organization that we are implementing ServiceNow at. We want to make sure that, just like, for example, that we're building on the prior work. So if we're looking at the last week, we talked about the common service data model, which holds a lot of maturation stages. So we need to make sure that any of the recommendations that we are providing fall in alignment with previous, such as the data level here, going to the platform level, where we can use some of the architectural standards provided by ServiceNow, such as the architectural blueprint, the capability map, product adoption roadmap, and exaction phases, integration map, and so on. This will give us an opportunity to map from the data to the platform and to make sure that we are compatible with the enterprise architecture layer as well, and delivering documentation into their language and repository of standards of architecture. Now, the way to do this is to set up a meeting with the enterprise architect. So we need to establish our way of communicating together and working together. And it's very important that we win over the enterprise architect, as the enterprise architect usually has the power to either kill or accelerate an implementation. So we need a good friend here. Usually the ServiceNow implementation partner will be a new face on the block, and we do require some champions for us to be efficient in having any sort of effect in a digital transformation that ServiceNow usually is linked to. Some of the exercises that you could consider is having an architectural standard as TOGAF. TOGAF will allow us to present stakeholder concerns in architectural viewpoints, which is kind of to be architectures dissected into different architectural components that directly address some of the stakeholders' concerns, which is then important for the future implementation and adoption and buy-in from the broader group. Additionally, IT for IT is a service-oriented or value stream-oriented standard that we can use that is compatible with TOGAF as well as ServiceNow. It allows us to elevate the conversation from being a topic of tunneling on the point solutions and the different verticals, and instead looking at the broader enterprise and its value streams, which then enable us to put some momentum into the rationalization of legacy standalone apps in the customer IT infrastructure, and ultimately positioning ServiceNow as a strategic platform. Additionally, the ServiceNow standards, as mentioned, where, for example, the capability map is a very good component. This is essentially just a map that shows you all of the different capabilities that the customer or organization is entitled to. It gives an indication in a clear, simple stylized representation. So what do you have available? What are you using? What are you not using? And should you perhaps be using this? And to consider if we should be using something, it makes sense to do a product adoption roadmap to understand how each of the different capabilities within the licensed platform products would fall in line with some of the business objectives and business outcomes of the organization that ServiceNow is being implemented at. As such, we can make sure that we're taking some mindful decisions when it comes to deciding what to implement and what not to implement. So, my experience on this week here, it has been a bit more intense than usual, and that is because I am the presenter this week. So, obviously, I put in work all weeks. This week I put in a bit more and made sure that I was finished with all of my stuff way earlier than needed. This I can only recommend because it allowed for much more feedback to be provided by my crew, which has been really helpful. And I have had time without feeling stressed to do my recording of the presentation that will then be shared with the service delivery managers of the expert program, CTA, as well as my peers in the cohort. And already now I'm also receiving valuable feedback from them. Alright, what I didn't touch upon is the building on common service data model. An example of this, let's say that we go to the foundational stage of the CSDM. Here we are focusing on the foundational data and ensuring that we have this to have baseline reporting, to have something to report against, for example. Here it makes sense to, let's say you have an organization that is eager to implement a lot of ServiceNow, but you also need to have your architectural standards, alignment and documentation standards in place. You can then start focusing on some of the platform capabilities and foundational stuff, such as the CMDB and the different foundational data. So there's a lot you can already do in this phase here, and that is a nod back to the phased interaction map, which is a logical representation of what phases you should introduce what business verticals or services into the ServiceNow platform, where you, for example, might want to consider having the IT organization in there first, along with the CMDB, the simple CMDB once it's finished, to ensure that you can do the minimal ITSM, IT service management. Then if you have customer service, maybe building that on, so you know that your core engine is working, your different services, they are available and can be made available quickly because you have your ITSM in place. Then you can start focusing on the external services that CSM can provide, and from there some of the internal stuff like HR and IRM, integrated risk management, and so on. Right, so I will leave it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's anything you would like to hear more or less of, and I'm happy to try to incorporate it. Thank you very much and have an excellent day.